Hello folks, hope you're all well. As you can see, we're back out at this farm again. The weather's pretty nice at the minute, but they're given heavy thunder showers later on. But more of that later. I'm hoping to come down here and get some jackdaws, but as you'll see with the title, the jackdaws didn't appear, but I did get quite a few feral pigeons. Again, I decided to set up in the same spot. This time I remembered my face mask. If I set up any further back, I won't be able to see any of the birds up in the rafters. And as you can see, so long as I get myself well tucked in behind the wall, you can't see too much of my profile. And it's not long before I get my first opportunity. I'm taking heart and lung shots with these birds, and the ranges are anything from about 8 yards out to about 25. So long as I keep my movement to a minimum, it doesn't seem to bother the birds. Not the feral pigeons anyway. That's the second one down. I did have a magpie though who came in and landed about 10 yards away earlier, but he spotted me within seconds, even though I didn't move. This cheeky pigeon flew straight in through the door and landed right in the wheelbarrow that the farmer uses to transport the mail about when feeding the cattle. I didn't have a safe backstop as the cattle was right behind him, and I didn't want to shoot him in the wheelbarrow as I didn't want his blood, so let's say, spoiling the meal. So all I could do was patiently watch and wait for a better opportunity. But what broke the stalemate was when two other pigeons flew in through the door, landing on a heap of silage set out for the cattle. They seemed more interested in scratching through the silage looking for pieces of meal, which meant they were constantly moving around, making it very difficult to get a good shot at them. But the silage and the steel upstand behind them give me a safe backstop. It took a bit of patience, but finally one stepped up, giving me a clear shot. I was quite pleased with myself how that actually worked out, but before I could give myself a good pat on the back, I realised his mate had actually landed on one of the bars above the pen. But he's not making it easy for me. He couldn't have sat in a worse place. His whole body is completely behind the metal bars, and he keeps ducking his head from one side to the other, making it very hard to get a clear shot at him at all. All I can really do is patiently wait and hope he moves to one side or the other. And then he finally sticks his head out a little too far for his own good health. That was a rough way to lose a game of peekaboo. Another 3 birds flew in and landed up in the gable wall. It was a 20-yard shot, but the bird still managed to fly round and back out the door before dropping dead in the yard. So I decided to have a wee bit of a tidy up. As you can see, the rain had started, but thankfully I didn't get too wet retrieving the bird out in the yard. The farmer arrived shortly after this to feed the cattle, and thankfully let me into one of the bottom sheds. There was 2 or 3 pigeons in it when I arrived, but they quickly exited out a hole at the bottom corner. So I thought I would stay with the face mask on and maybe catch 1 or 2 coming back in again. And sure enough, after about 5 minutes, I got an opportunity. I waited there for a while longer, and even though I could hear them now and again on the roof, none of them ventured back into the shed again, so I decided to pick up the one I just shot. I settled back down into the top shed, hoping that I would get another opportunity or two before the end of the day. And thankfully, after a bit of a wait, I did. Something I didn't realise until after I started using one of these prism based scope cam mounts is that how dark the picture can be, not only for the camera but also for the shooter, because the prism splits the amount of light travelling through your scope, and a certain percentage goes to the camera and the rest goes to you, the shooter, so you're not actually getting the full light gathering effect of your scope, which can make shooting and filming birds in dark gloomy conditions like this a little more difficult. But thankfully I was able to see enough of his chest and pulled the shot off. Well, as you can hear, the rain really started to get bad, so much so I was actually getting wet inside the shed, so I decided to call it a day. Well, maybe I'll stay just a wee bit longer. Thankfully the rain did finally stop long enough for me to get my gear packed up and get back to the Shogun. But I'll hope to get back again, and maybe next time we'll get a jackdaw or two.